Yo, what is going on, y'all? Welcome into Cardinalytics and Arizona Cardinals podcast, hosted by fans for the fans here on September 8th, 2025. 30-ish hours removed from an Arizona Cardinals victory over the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. That was a game. We are here to talk about it. Very interesting. Have a bunch of perspectives here to talk about it. My guy Jake in Arizona, my guy Shot. It would might be back home, but was out there at the game, and then
Yeah,
me
we
as
back
well.
home now.
So back home as well. So boys, how y'all feeling today? Welcome in to the pod.
Feeling good, bro. 1-0. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, a dub is a dub. We still covered, you know what I'm saying? So like
Hmm.
I knew it wasn't gonna be easy the whole game, but I just didn't think the ending was gonna be that close.
Yeah, yeah. Like now, full disclosure, during the game, I'm with my guys still. I was able to watch some of the game, most of the game, most of the time. Was not fully locked into it like these guys were. So all today is mostly perspective from their perspective as well. But I was able to lock in now, so it was definitely good to catch on to the game, see what exactly happened. But in real time, it felt as though the Cardinals kind of didn't do enough and in our personal eyes, based on kind of the expectations of the team that have only been placed on us by Cardinals fans, which is kind of the point that I'm going to get to in a second. But the expectations that we place on the team as Cardinals fans, you kind of go into that game, you're saying you want to beat the Saints, you want to beat them by 20 plus points, you want a dominating victory, you don't want to leave any doubt at any place in the game. And literally 3 hours before the game starts, you hear Kyler Murray is sick going into the game. He's going to play, but he's sick going into the game. And you see him walk in, and it's like, oh, he looks sick a little bit there. So how could this game turn out? They end up with the victory, low slugfest there. Some people kind of, at first thought it's like, they didn't do enough. But holistically, watching the game, I think, as we'll break down here on this podcast today, the team did, had a decent, good job. I think the team played a very good game in terms of their opponent, where they're at. Going on the road is never easy. This team has not been 1-0 since 2021. So getting that 1-0 victory to start the season is a huge omen to Jonathan Gannon as well as this football team and kind of what they've done, as well as us knowing that this team has the ability to play better and have a little bit better success going forward. So quick overall thoughts and recaps before we kind of get onto each side of the ball that you guys had for the game, and kind of just your biggest statement that you kind of want to make about the game that just passed.
Yeah. I think defensively, like I know a lot of people like felt like the pass rush left a lot to be desired, but I actually feel like defensively the team played really well this weekend. Um Spencer Rattler, props to the Saints, props to Kellen Moore. Like Spencer Rattler did a good job of getting the ball out quick. I really felt like they felt early on that like their offensive line wasn't going to be able to hold up against our defensive line, and their play calling and stuff reflected that. So like, props to them for that. But as far as like the defensive backs, one thing that we noticed early there, or we talked about, they had six DBs out there on like the second play of the game. Like I don't think Will started, but like after that, like he played for the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and props to the DBs because like that room literally looks like it could be one of the best rooms in all of football. So just I guess quick shout out to the defense. Shout out to Mar for doing what he was supposed to be doing. Um, I know I wanted to see all off season like Marv just dominating in training camp, and so the fact that he can come out week one and look dominant, come down with a contested catch, deep shot. So like shout out to him.
Jake, you've been on Twitter calling out a Cardinals dismantling, a pummeling, all type of adjectives for that type for that type of word of the New Orleans Saints going into this Week 1 contest, counting down the days for football. They don't come out with that, but they do come out with the victory. As Shaw mentioned, they do cover as well. What's your kind of overall takeaway from this game? That just passed.
Yeah, I got a few things. First and foremost, good teams win, great teams cover. So check that box. I was throwing out a lot of different adjectives. Trounce was the last one. Dismantle, embarrass. I was having fun with it. I got into it with a sleeper Cardinals account. And I just started like quote tweeting his tweets because he was getting to it like at midnight my time, and I would just look for that, and then I just start quoting that. So that was pretty fun. Had a good
Mhm.
little back and forth there. Yeah, obviously didn't dismantle them by any means, but I mean, I've seen enough of the film. The game was in our control pretty much from the jump. Like, if they were able to score at the end there and force us to kind of try to like run down the field and score or bring it to OT, like I'm 99.9% sure we still would have won. It just the you look at like the stats, I get like the raw stats and the score, and it looks closer than I believe it was. Shot, as you had said, like I honestly applaud Spencer Rattler and their team overall. Defensively, I think we weren't expecting them to look as good as they did. Cam Jordan's still out there just eating offensive linemen for breakfast. Like he's a legend, obviously, still doing it at a high
Yeah.
level, which is honestly good for him. Like he's a good guy, happy for him. I think it was a good test. Like I said, I don't think I never really got the feeling like even when we were in that position at the end there, I just never really my blood pressure was never really right. I mean, it did a little bit at the end, but like I wasn't. It just felt like a different team, dude. And like obviously the offense left a good amount to be desired, but I think you can clean those things up. I like what I would use as like the reason for not being more explosive, not dismantling them, score wise, would be just the trip, dude. Like I know JG was saying like they looked into like some advanced data that said flying cross country day before could actually yield better results than 2 days before, which I don't agree with at all. I honestly felt like dude, I remember like seeing it on like Twitter, like the team was taking off, and I was like, dude, it's like
The day before the game.
Friday night, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing here? And I think that showed. Offense and defense both started super slow, and you got to like look at it from like the human side of things. Like these guys are tired, man. Like they're going in a slate that they're not usually in, like that early window. And our time, dude. Like I'm waking up, Sunday morning at 8 o'clock, and I'm like, holy shit, the game's on in 2 hours. So it's when you look at it like that, it's like you got to give them like a little bit of leeway. And I was hoping that like maybe that was the case and they were going to wake up a little bit more as the game went on. I think it still never really turned into what I thought it could. But dude, it's week one. I know I said it to you guys on the side, but dude, week one, like Kyle Brandt has famously always said, like week one is a liar. Like, dude, look at the Eagles Cowboys game. Like that was way closer than it should have been. Like the Eagles are a much better team. Look at the Bills Cardinals game week one last year in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Like we could have won that game. It came down to the last play of the game, and the Bills were a Super Bowl contender. You know what I mean? So it's like all those things considered, and like I was saying to you guys too, like good football teams, like through and through, sound football teams, find a way to mitigate all these factors. Flying in day before across the dude, West Coast to East Coast, early time, on the road, week one. Starters barely played in the last 8 months, dude. They got like a few reps in preseason, like a few. Good football teams find a way to just put all that behind them and just find a way to win. And it wasn't pretty. It wasn't great. Kyler had 163 yards and 29 attempts. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he was perfect. He's not going to sit here and tell you he was perfect. But, dude, we got the win. And, like, this fan base is just crazy. It's like all these people, dude, like complaining and just like shitting on the team and this and that. And like, and dude, don't get me wrong. I was also one of the ones saying like, we're going to dismantle this team. And we didn't do that. But it's week one. Like, we got the win. Hey, if we're sitting here, dude, and we somehow let them score there and then like fluky loss in OT, I'm rip shit. But good teams, dude, find a way to just bend, don't break, and win the game, and that's what we did. Like, that's not even to mention, dude, Kyler like having like the runs. He's up at 4:30 a.m. East Coast time, dude. So that's 1:30 a.m. our time in Arizona, and he's up the whole time, and then just rolls into the stadium and goes and wins the game. Like, dude, when you look at it through that lens, it's like we got our job done. You know, we survived. Yeah. We're in the win column, and we're on to week 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an amazing point that you just made there. I think you convinced me, like I mentioned. I was on one side, and it's more so, like I mentioned to you, I was just off camera just now. We're Cardinals fans. I think at this point, there's no right that we have to, care how a win looks as long as they win the game. Your week is good. I think that is more than fine
for a team that is no more than known, to have more losses than wins. So I think anytime that you can start 1-0, anytime that you can have success like that, it's definitely crucial. And typically we start with the offensive side, but I think overall, just based on how this game went, it is only right to start on the defensive side of the ball, and no other better place to start than our new second round corner, Will Johnson. Shaw, this was a player that you mentioned will have an immediate impact on his football team.
Yeah.
As somebody that his play will show over the skeptics that may have doubted him health wise or anything like that. His play as a player alone was first round, top 15, top 10 worthy, and the Cardinals took him in the second round. And literally, as I think as you mentioned, as second play on, as somebody that was in there, he became an instant impact player, dominating performance, top PFF grade on the team. Known thing you can say, as well as he had a shiny premier patch on his patch. When did they start giving that to the rookies? That was
A
I've
what?
never seen that. If you go to like I need photo of him in the game, there's a
Uh-huh.
premier patch like on his thing. I've never seen a
Uh-huh.
rookie have that. I love that they had that this year. That was nice for sure. It had a huge impact game, at least not to say the less. To get back to the point, how did you feel? In person, watching this defense perform. What we saw, what you saw from the players, and what you saw from Will in general, and anybody that kind of stood out for you on that side of the ball.
Nah, man. Obviously, Will like number one, but like everybody, honestly, everybody in the secondary, like Rabbit, Taylor Demerson, he came out there from the get go, was making plays, making big PBUs, and hitting people, knocking the ball out. Max Milton played really well, also. I man, everybody was baffled when Will Johnson when they just called back that interception when he got that pick, because I didn't see it, and I still, even when I went back and watched the game, I didn't see the angle, like they didn't show a replay or anything. So I don't know if y'all saw that, like of like the illegal
Just a
contact, but
robbery.
it's just a phantom illegal contact to rob our guy Will of like his first pick in his first game. Like, I mean, it it would have been a great moment, right? But like we got robbed
Mhm.
of that. So hopefully that comes sooner than later. But nah, man, like the defense looked amazing, man. They looked fast, they were flying around. And even from the get-go, like I was preaching, I had a hot take where I was like Josh Sweat was gonna get at least 2.5 sacks, right? We only ended up with one
Mhm.
sack in the game. And that's why I said credit to the Saints, because the first possession of the game, I want to say Josh Sweat got his hands on Spencer Rattler, and after
Mhm.
that, they're like, we're not dropping back and throwing the ball at all. And I think I saw a stat where I think Kyler's time to throw was like a little bit over like 3.5 seconds, and Spencer Rattler's time to throw was like 2.6 or something like that. So like
Mhm.
clearly they were making an emphasis of just like getting the ball out quick, because the pass rush was um I wouldn't necessarily say productive, but it was effective. And also I guess we haven't really talked about this. I haven't seen nobody talk about this. The run defense was great. Like
You thought
outside
so?
of I thought so. I really did, because
I
I
probably
don't
thought.
know
I
if
think I thought so that second half. I feel like they stopped running Kamara though, Bush, for some reason.
They
I
did.
I I,
mm,
I thought they could have spammed Kamara way more than what they did, but maybe that was just the pace of the game. I don't know.
they I guess maybe they could have, but like I mean I'm used to seeing this team get gashed on the ground, right?
Yeah,
Like dudes running through huge holes. It's not like Kamara was running through like some huge holes, or
that's
even
true. Yeah.
Kendre or whoever. Like um Calais and Dalvin and even Dante Stills. Like Dante Stills had a really good game.
Great
He
game.
made a couple. Yeah, he made a
That
couple. He
dude
made
is
a couple big plays.
Yeah.
I want to
I
say he.
circled. I
Uh,
was gonna say I circled Stills and I circled Mustard. I don't know. I keep forgetting his name. You know what I'm
Mustard.
talking about?
Mustafa.
Yeah,
Mustafa. Yeah.
yeah. Whatever his name is, Mustard. Every
PJ.
time I saw he was on the field, he was doing something.
Yeah. No, Stills had a big play on the goal line, where he helped get a stop. But no, overall, man, the defense looked good. Honestly, I'm very impressed with the defense, and like looking. I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but looking forward at like who we have lined up and like the receivers that we got that we're going up against. I mean, nobody scares me in terms of like wide receivers that we're about to be going up against. And honestly, the Saints probably have the best two wide receivers that we're going to see over the next like 3 weeks, with the Panthers and the Niners. So, kudos to them, man. Kudos to Will. That hit that he had on Olave was insane. Yeah, that was insane. And then I think he even had a good pass breakup on Shaheed in the end zone. I think it was like a touchdown shot, and he broke it up. So, just overall good game from the defense, man, and obviously Will Johnson, defensive player of the game for sure.
Jake, what you see out there from that defensive side this week? I thought, I had some interesting thoughts, but I want to hear what you thought on that side of the ball. They did only hold them to 13 points. I think that's a big, notch that you can obviously, bat on their chest. But what you see on that side of the ball?
Yeah. I think, obviously holding the 13 points was great. I wouldn't say I loved what I saw out of the defense, but like I said, kind of chalk that up to like the starters not really playing early in the preseason, the travel and everything. But dude, if you really like look back at the tape, like we were getting there, dude. Like the pockets were collapsing on Spencer. It's just, dude, he played very well. Like honestly, he played like as good as he possibly could have. He ended up going for, I pulled up.
I think he only had like 50% completion, maybe like 200 yards.
Yeah, 214 yards, dude. But this is the thing: average completion was 4.7 yards. Like he was dinking and dunking, dude. He had no time to throw. It was just he came out and executed, dude. Like I think Corey, you might have been saying it earlier, like or Sean, maybe it was you. Like that first play, Sweat was like right in there, and dude, if you just go and watch the tape and just single in on Sweat, dude, he was right there, like literally, like
He was getting there a
20
lot.
times, bro. Like he was literally so close. He even almost had a strip sack like early on, but dude. Like they saw that, they diagnosed it like on the Saints side, and basically Rattler would just take the snaps, step up, dude, and deliver something quick. Which it's like, dude, yeah, he had 27 completions, but it's like it's not like you find these little cushions, dude, in the coverage, and it's gonna be easy to connect on these passes that are flying 5 yards in the air. You know what I mean? So it was a lot of that stuff, and that was pretty much what they had to do if they wanted to stay with us whatsoever. Because if they, like, dude, the one play that you saw where Spencer tried to draw it back and like throw this big ball in single coverage, man to man, Will just steps up and runs the route of the receiver and just picks it off as if it was a touchdown. Total bullshit, by the way, that got called back. Like super shitty. I think this guy's going to make a legitimate case for defensive rookie of the year, and that would have really helped. So I was still like really upset about that, honestly, like getting called back, because I mean, not even in the sense of like, oh, this like screwed us, like the refs, this and that, but it was like, damn, dude, like you had to call that. Like, I don't know, just give the rookie his due. Like that was just a great play.
Well, they
Dude,
ended up they also ended up scoring after that.
yeah, dude. So you know what I mean? It's like things like that where you're just like, damn, it's too bad. But also though, like with the run game, I didn't love it, to be honest. Like I felt like they kind of early on were sort of doing what they wanted to do, with not just Kamara, but that kid Miller.
Andre. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he was having some good runs too. So I was a little bit disappointed in that, because I'm like, dude, we just brought in like all these big bodies, supposed to just clog the trenches. And then I feel like it kind of got overshadowed that we, like, in my opinion, might not have been the greatest in the run defense department in week one. Was that, to Corey's point, they kind of started having to like throw the ball because they were down like the whole game, right? Like it was kind of the way I was watching the Saints was sort of like the role of that the Cardinals have sort of had for a long time, whereas like always playing from behind, got to be perfect. You got to just, take the short shit that the defense is giving you and try to just string some shit together. So they got away from Kamara in the run game pretty quickly, I thought. But, yeah, dude, like I said, Sweat was there. Baron Browning, like, I know a lot of fans, like, hated that signing. But, dude, he's been legit, like, since we brought him in. Like, that dude's an athlete. Like, he's got a nose for the quarterback, dude. He's slippery. He gets through. I mean, we had the one sack, but, like, and I was telling my brother about it too, because he was like down on the sack numbers, and I'm like, dude, Spencer Rattler, dude, like he was getting the ball out quickly, and there's nothing you can really do if he's getting the ball out, dude. In an average of like, if his time to throw was what, like 2.1
2 seconds. Yeah.
it's like, what are you supposed to do? Like, it's almost humanly impossible to get to him that quickly. And like, we were there, dude. Like, the amount of times we were right there. And that kind of brings me to like thinking, as we move forward, a guy like Bryce Young, like, I think the opportunities are going to be there. And Shot, I know that you were hoping and expecting Sweat to play like a big role in generating a lot of sacks, but it's like, I loved what I saw out of that group, getting to the passer and speeding him up. This dude, Spencer Rattler, like, you got to give him his flowers. He played a damn good game. Like, I mean, people were shitting on him as the worst in the league. People were shitting on the Saints as the worst in the league. I was watching the later games after the fact with some buddies, and one of them's a Seahawks fan, and he's coming at me, dude, about the Saints are the worst in the league and yada yada yada. And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna go on record as saying that team will not finish in last place. Like, they're not gonna be the worst record in the league. Like, they think they surprised all of us Cardinals fans. Like, they were better than advertised. I'm not gonna say they're a good team, but they played hard. And a lot of props to Rattler, dude. He did a good job. And yeah, I mean, something else I was thinking about too, when it comes to Sweat and like the sack numbers that you were predicting, Shad, he might be a guy that leads the team this year with like 9.5, maybe 10, something like that, which like might not jump out of the page as being like a Myles Garrett, TJ Watt type of guy, like leading the team with 18 sacks. But it's, dude, let's look at the Eagles. Like, this team has been at the top of the league for multiple years now. Sweat had arguably his best year under JG. You look at that Eagles defense, dude. Sweat, I believe, led the team last year with like 8 sacks. You know what I'm saying, dude? So it's like, if we can be, and Monty and JG together have been building this product, dude, of like a well-balanced team. So if I can have my choice of one guy that's going to give me 16 sacks and then the next closest gives me 4, or if I can have 5 guys that give me between 5 and 8 sacks, dude, like, I'm going to take that, because it's showing that if someone goes down, dude, we have horses that can do it. It's not just one guy that we're paying $190 million a year, Micah Parsons, to go and get the quarterback. So yeah, that's kind of like where I lie there. But like, all in all, I feel pretty good about the defense.
I loved every point both of you made just now. That those points about Sweat obviously are massive. Those points about the DBs are massive. I feel like I had a little bit of both as well. For me, I think the first thing I definitely noticed was kind of, Jake, to follow up on you. The pressure, it wasn't not terrible. I know I feel like a lot of people mentioned about the defensive line, at least from what I saw scrolling down the line, but watching the game, the pressure was not terrible. And what I can tell is that if Walter Nolan, when he comes back, if he and or Darius Robinson can start to kind of have any type of presence on the interior, they're going to be all pro/Pro Bowl players, because the way that Sweat and Browning are able to come off the edge combined together, there was numerous times Bradley was stepping up in the pocket. And again, kind of Darius isn't quite there yet in terms of his ability to win one-on-one inside. Calais is old. Tomlinson is old. LJ Collier is not as quick. Stills is more your run defender. Mustard, you're more your run defender. So it's like, if they get a guy on the inside that can win one-on-one on the inside like that, he's going to be a Pro Bowl or all-pro player, the way that Sweat and Browning are coming off the edge, along with Birch, along with Zaven, along with Thomas if he gets to play. There's a heavy wave of edge rushers on this team now, and definitely, like, again, it may be the Saints, so obviously will come to fruition when it comes to the Carolina Panthers next week. They didn't look great, on Sunday, but overall, like, if Sweat and Browning, I just kept seeing 5 and 10, 5 and 10, 5 and 10. Like, that's what I kept seeing in terms of each play. Like, if those guys can continue to create pressure on the outside, keep forcing the quarterback to step up, and he's going to step up into trouble at some point. Calais, he'll walk into about 4 to 5 sacks this year if these guys are going to continue to do this. So that's definitely one thing I saw. Like, I just because the way that I feel as though their presence on the outside, you guys mentioned their physicality, their size is really crazy too. Those 2 guys on the edge, those are 2 big edge rushers, and they stand up a lot too. So their size looks even bigger when they're standing up like that. I think I wanted to say, Shaw, you mentioned the 6 DBs to start. I loved seeing the defensive complexity still being there, even with the new pieces. I mean, you're seeing Buddha go from top to bottom. He's on the side. He could be doing this. He could be doing that. He was literally everywhere still, and I would love to see that, obviously. But they get to do that now with almost 7 guys in coverage because you only have to rush 3 or 4 most of the time. So
Yeah.
still seeing that creativity, overall the DB room, like you mentioned, I think maybe I was a year early on my take about the DBs being a top 10 unit. I could 1,000% being that group, seeing that group being a top 10 unit. And this is a unit that is still missing Star Thomas, that is missing Sean Murphy Button. So there's 2 players at least that could be spelling type players. But another point I saw is that I think you found your 3 corners already.
Oh yeah.
I think that was pretty quick to figure out that you
Yeah.
just found your 3 corners.
Yeah, for
Max in
sure.
that second half, Will all game. These guys are locking down, like you mentioned, Shot, a receiver duo that is probably one of the better ones that they'll face within the first 3-4 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
Like Max's ability to play one-on-one, especially in tight coverage. I love seeing that. I did still see, some dunk downs that were given up, which again is going to happen based on the coverages, but a lot of routes were definitely sticky in coverage. Will all game, the physicality, what he brings in terms of, now you can see that he's keeping up with one of the faster guys in the league. And Shaheed, like, if he's able to do that, then it's like, okay, any type of questions y'all had about long speed is kind of, silly now. Like, it doesn't really
Yeah.
quite make sense. So we already know he had the instincts. We already knew he had the size. He showed the physicality yesterday as well, hitting Olave like that. Like, again, like these are traits that are popping off from a cornerback. And then, as well as now he's also not getting beat deep. I think that's also now, kind of showing to fruition what type of cornerback this guy can be in this scheme. You kind of see why everybody was now talking about this guy's a tailor-made fit for this
Yeah.
scheme, and it's kind of showing in fruition now. So if he's able to have any type of success or continue to have that success, watch out, Jake. I'm right on board with you. This is a defensive rookie of the year candidate for sure. I'm trying to think of the possible edge rushers that came out Abdul Carter is one
Abdul
guy that
Carter.
yeah,
Did you
as I
see the
said,
play that he
Abdul.
had?
Nah, I got you. Got to watch that game. I didn't watch the Giants one yet, but
Man,
go ahead.
yeah, he
Steve.
didn't look good.
Oh, he didn't look good at all.
Didn't?
No, he had a play where he
Yeah.
looked like he was closing out on a 3-point shooter instead of tackling Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. But you got some of these guys, Mason Graham too. So there's some guys that have a chance. But if we go to the playoffs in this DB room, like I mentioned, this is a top 10, or Shaw, like you mentioned, is a top 10 unit. There's going to be strong considerations for Will to have a defensive rookie of the year, trophy in his trophy case based on his play. And another thing that I noticed, especially on the defensive side, obviously we knew this kind of was still already the case that the DBs hit. Like that was already something that we kind of already knew. Just that safety quadrant. I don't even want to call it a trio. I want to call it a quadrant because Garrett does so much. But like the quadrant of Garrett, Buddha, Jalen, and Rabbit, they all hit. Like I promise you, if you go across the middle, you are getting hit this year. It really does not matter who is coming out there. You are going to get hit in the middle of the field this year. And as well as another thing that I saw with the DBs, I know I just keep talking about the DBs, but I think that's just how good they played, is they got their hands on the balls a lot. Like they didn't result in a pick, but they mentioned how they wanted to get their hands on balls a lot. Pause. But you could see also mention why. You can see that the defensive line is the reasoning why they're doing that. And they were close a lot of times, deflecting, and that's how you get the PBUs. That's how you get the tip picks, all that other stuff. That's what helps change a defense. That's what helps changes an offense because you have much shorter fields as well. So, and then the last thing that I noticed was, like, to my surprise, and again, it's probably no surprise in the locker room because they're with each other every day. But at least for my surprise as a fan to be able to see it for 4 quarters and stuff like that, the embrace of Will Johnson, like the immediate embrace in terms of he almost looks like a leader on that football team. The way that they kind of just come to him and just how he kind of just the aura that he kind of presented in terms of how I was saying it. I hate, saying stuff like that, but it's just like you can tell, like these guys really believe in him that he can be one of those top guys, and it's just really like it's really something to see that we might have literally the steal of the draft, hands down, bar none, if he continues his play. So that was really great to see on the defensive side of the ball. Like again, it's the Saints. We gotta, take it forward with a grain of salt. They obviously are missing a lot of talent. Say it again.
It's still week 1 though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's still week 1. And everything they could turn out to be one of the better teams in the league. You never know, right? But overall, we have a lot of roads up next, and the Panthers will be up next, and we got to see how this defense can react in terms of them. But switching over to the offensive side of the ball, obviously this one gets a little bit more criticism, far, beyond far than anybody can expect. Like this offense performance was a dud in terms of how most people would perceive it. Jake, you kind of mentioned how you believe the game wasn't too bad, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and how your boy Kyler performed. What did you kind of see on this offensive side? It was a lot of question marks here and there, but what did you kind of take away from overall the performance?
Yeah, I mean, thank God Kyler and Marv connected on that 45-yard hurl down the sideline, because you take that play away, bro, and I'm honestly looking at the game in a little bit of a different lens on the offensive side. I still think that we need a true speed threat at receiver. I don't know how they think that we're good in that department, because, dude, this defense has shown you that this team can actually be a true playoff team. The offense has got to get going. I'm really not going to be critical of Kyler. I think a bunch of those sacks weren't his fault. I think it was a scheme issue, and that comes down to Drew Petzing. Corey, I know you hate the guy. I'm not a big fan myself, but I will say, you guys know I'm always playing kiss ass devil's advocate. I think that Petzing looked a little bit more evolved in the sense Kyler was actually throwing balls downfield, and this man was absolutely assaulted last year by the media as being a guy that lost his deep ball. You can't throw an intermediate to a deep ball. At least Petzing was giving us a little bit more of that, especially too, dude, there was one play, and I know you guys both know the play, where if Kyler and Marv connect on this play, we are having an entirely different discussion. Right? They're backed up to their own end zone. Kyler's throwing from our own end zone. Marv's across the middle. It didn't look like a great ball. I saw that someone said online that or on Twitter that Marv was bumped and kind of it threw off his course a little bit.
And yeah, Kurt Warner said that.
Okay. I didn't want to cut you off. I don't want to cut you off. I know Kurt Warner said that, and I'm glad you brought this up, because I was going to ask y'all that. That, to me, that's a bad ball. He's breaking open over top.
Dude, I didn't think it was a good ball either, but what I will say as a rebuttal against it being a truly bad ball is the fact that Kyler's biggest issue last year was throwing interceptions over the middle. So I think he might have had a little bit of PTSD there, as maybe there's someone down there that he can't see. I mean, clearly there was no one there, but he missed him high, right? The ball was overthrown. So maybe he's just trying to get a little more air under it. But then to Kurt's point, maybe Marv was supposed to be a little bit further out in the route where it would have hit him in stride perfectly, and maybe he got slowed down a little bit. And dude, you can look at it and be like, oh, you got to complete that throw. But it's dude, the play before that happened was a holding call that they were considering of having taken place in the end zone for a safety. So that's in Kyler's head. I got to get this ball out, bro. So if Marv's running the route, right, and it's this post over the middle, and he gets bumped and it slows him down, dude, Kyler's throwing the ball way before the break. He's thinking, we almost just took a safety. I got to get this out, dude. I can't risk a hold. I can't risk a strip sack, this, that, the other thing. So I think when you look at it from that lens, maybe 7 times out of 10 they connect on that, and that was one of the 3 that they don't. But I think it was a little bit overblown, right? Stop me if you've heard this before, but by Cardinals fans, got hit that, you know what I mean? It's dude, that was a heck situation. They missed it. They were just off. That's gonna come though, dude. It's still week 1. That's gonna come. But yeah, just continue.
I also feel I was about to say, just real quick before we get off of that, I also feel sometimes on those throws too, I think they're taught to throw on the hash, and it looks like whatever post route Marv was gonna run, he was going to be on the hash, and that's where Kyler threw it. But then when he got bumped, he kind of got kind of came off the hash running up the middle, and I mean, if you're right, if that connects though, we're having a whole different conversation. But,
dude, Kyler goes from 163 passing yards to I mean, that's potential touchdown.
250. Yeah.
And we're looking at Marv as having an insane game, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns type of game on 6 catches. So, dude, that's gonna come though. it's very like for me, we won the game, and so I'm looking at that play with an optimistic lens of, damn, dude, that's going to be there. Petzing's having the balls to actually do that, like in the 2025 season. Whereas last year, bro, that's a draw up the middle. Like that's third down or second, or maybe second down. That's a draw up the middle, bro. We're on our own 1 or 2 yard line. Like he's just trying to get space. Good for him for actually trusting the guys, dude, to even have a chance to execute that play. So I'm optimistic that we're going to be throwing down the field more. I know Corey was calling for this last year. There was a screen to Marv early on in the game, so they're trying to use him. I just saw it in the Bears Vikings game early in the game tonight. They threw Justin Jefferson a screen out of the backfield, like, and I know you guys were calling for that a lot last year. Like this guy's a playmaker, get him involved. So it's like I am cautiously optimistic that Petzing is learning a little bit. There was also a few throws to Trey that were a little off the mark, if you guys remember. That could have added another probably 30, 40 yards to Kyler to Trey that they were a little bit off on. But dude, a couple of the plays that stood out to me twice. One of them was a third down. I think it was on that same drive that we missed the Kyler to Marv play. Third down, 3rd and 10, and Kyler and Trey connect for 25 yards and a massive first down. And then it's that same drive. The pocket collapses instantly. Kyler, dude, who has been constantly assaulted for just like bailing on the play and just going into freestyle mode, dude, trying to make shit happen with his legs, running all around the pocket, eventually just turtling for a sack. Dude, he steps up into a crowded pocket as a 5'10" quarterback and delivers an absolute strike to Trey across the middle for another first down. So, dude, positive signs. Like it wasn't a great game offensively. It was very sloppy, but like a lot of the issues that we had last year, there was some hope and some optimism in this one game that we're starting to get away from that. Like Marv had 5 catches, 71 yards. Trey, I think, had 5 or 6 catches for 60 something yards. So it's like, and they force fed Marv a touchdown early on, dude. Like that's a classic Cardinals, run the ball 4 times and Connor's going to rush it in. They said fuck that, and they threw a nice little crosser to Marv, who was able to beat Kool-Aid McKinstry like right up the middle of the field. So I'm like I said, I'm optimistic. It wasn't great. I still have my reservations with Petzing, but like all in all, it was definitely better, I feel like, than what I was seeing last year as far as like trying to push the ball downfield. And then Kyler, dude, just playing tough, stepping up and delivering throws.
Yeah, you're much more generous than me for that guy.
No, same.
In person, I know you had to rewatch it obviously to get a good feel, for the game. In person, kind of, what was your in-person thoughts on how the offense was moving, as well as once you got a chance to sit back, relax, take a view of it from the broadcast. What did you see from this offense in 2025 so far?
I will say, I don't necessarily agree that if like we don't have the Marv completion, like we're talking differently because I still think they probably get into a rhythm. And I'm talking about the deep pass down the sideline. But that play definitely was needed to get the offense actually going. Because like when we first started out, I don't know if Drew Petzing was me and also forgot that Cam Jordan played for the Saints. Because I didn't realize that. I mean, I knew he played for the Saints, but I didn't realize like, oh snap, they still got Cam Jordan until I seen this man run out the tunnel looking like a beast. And I'm like, okay. And then first play or second play of the game, he makes a sack. I'm like, snap, like these dudes are here. But honestly, the first like couple plays were like, it just seemed like it was the same old, same old play action, same old handoff. And in my head, I'm like, well, is Kyler like super sick to where they're just gonna be just like kind of babysit him a little bit? Maybe we just get away with running the ball. But I will say we weren't able to run the ball really like outside of the Trey Benson run and who by the way I seen his peoples at the game. He had a whole like section of fans there wearing Trey Benson jersey. So shout out to him for having that big play in that game with his peoples there. But outside of that, the run game really wasn't able to get going. Like Kyler kind of baked in some runs in there, but um it was encouraging to see them really rely on their stars and the stars come through, which is Marvin McBride. But at the same time, like I don't know, looking back on it, like some of the play calling and just like the route combinations and the situational play calling, it just seemed like the same old, and it just wasn't encouraging. Like Jake, you brought up like um the two plays that you highlighted. The one play where Kyler stepped up and like made a great pass to McBride, like great play on Kyler. The play before that, it was a series where we threw it to McBride. The pass was behind him. It was a bad throw. And the next play, we tried to throw like a little curl route to him, and just an incomplete pass. We ran the same exact play, and yeah, Trey got the first down because he made somebody miss. But it was literally the same exact play on third down where he's not even running a route. You only have one person running a route to the sticks. So like I don't know. Grant, it worked out, right? It worked out. So like you probably don't even pay attention to that, but like looking back on it, it's just like I don't know, man. Like I don't like the vibes that I'm getting from Drew. But I will say 30 yards in, some of like the red zone play calling, that definitely seemed like it was on point. The shuffle pass to James Conner for the touchdown was a nice little wrinkle. Even I saw Donnie had reposted. It was I think we're in 14 personnel, and we ran like a read option with Kyler, which like it's crazy stuff. But I mean, I if they're gonna use Kyler's legs more, I want it to look more like how we saw from the Ravens or how we see Lamar get used in the run game. Because like I sit there and watch them run read option with Derrick Henry, and it's just unguardable. And I'm not saying James Conner is Derrick Henry, and I'm not saying that Kyler is Lamar, but like we got just as good as weapons as them. And in terms of running the ball, like James Conner is a physical runner, downhill runner. Like we can utilize him and Kyler in the same way. But I don't know, man. It just seems like I don't want to say bullshit, but it just seems like a dude who's just like, yeah, we're gonna run him more. So here's a QB draw. Okay, we're just gonna bake in this like simple read option. Like I don't know, man. I just truthfully I wish we had some more skill players, like some actual game breaking players, so that we could
Mhm.
kind of open up the offense more. But like really, it's just Marvin McBride right now, man, and it's I
Yeah.
don't know if the run game's not working, then we're gonna be relying on Kyler to make some plays. And yeah,
Yeah, no, they I mean, I'll say it. The head coach and the offensive coordinator bullshitted us. They completely bullshitted us. That was the most bullshit of bullshit that I think you could get. And especially again, it is week one, so we're not gonna overreact, but we gotta love to overreact on week one. That was nasty. That was nasty work that I felt as though we saw. I mean, we're 3 seasons in with this person, and I feel as though we didn't get any differences towards anything I've seen from year one to year three. And I was told that I'm supposed to be adding more sauce. I feel as though I don't see that. Like your sauce, the more sauce that was added was sauce that I saw at the end of last season after we asked you to get more sauce. So like you're giving me stale sauce. I need fresh, freshly cooked, stirred sauce. I can't get stale sauce, and I'm getting stale sauce. The tunnel screen and Dortch. How many times do we see that at the end of the season after it worked one time? There it goes again. The play action tight end screen, they ran it once, it didn't work. Next drive, we're gonna run it again. Like it's like, bro, it's like he has a checklist, right? There's a checklist of plays. They have to go through it to make sure, all right, they got checked off. No matter the situation of the game, it has to get checked off. Like the situational play calling, Shaw, you mentioned it, the play design. I mean, to me, in my opinion, the one thing I think of is like I continue to hear. Obviously, we mentioned the sauce, and I hear the head coach say McBride the passing offense goes through 85 and 18. But yet when I watch the games, they don't go through 85 and 18. They go through 87. They go through 84. They go through 85 most of the time. They go through 6. They go through everything 18 sprinkled in. Here's 14. 14 has to touch the ball. 4. Here comes number 4. The offense doesn't go through 85 and 18 because they aren't the number one reads on every single play that comes out there in terms of the passing offense. That's the issue that I have with Drew Petzing. That's the problem I have with the head coach telling me that the passing offense is going through 85 and 18 because it's not based on what I'm seeing. So again, you have these players. I think Kyler, you hear Kyler talk about, I got these playmakers. I got these playmakers. I think you have players that can make a play, but you're not
Yeah.
giving the ball to your playmakers. Your playmakers are McBride and Marvin. Those are your playmakers. They need to be the number one reads on a play design to begin with, and they're not because the offensive coordinator and the passing game coordinator for that, he has to be looped in this. Like these guys don't draw up good enough passing routes and combinations to have success. One, because they consistently want to have two tight ends out there. And Higgins is he's a good player to have in spots, but he plays too much for me. The same, he just plays too much for me. Like, that's just my honest opinion. I don't think he's a bad player, but I just think that he plays too much because while as versatile as he is, teams are ready for him when he comes out there. Like, he isn't like I think they try to think of it as a McBride is our Mark Andrews and Higgins can be our Likely. He's not likely because he doesn't make plays like Likely does. Like, and that's just the situation. And or it could be because of the route concepts that go out there. So he doesn't have a chance to make a play like Likely does, but they don't do it. So like I get the two tight ends. I get you want to be versatile. I get Donnie, who's a friend of the show here. We'll probably have him on soon. Like he mentioned the 14 personnel, 4 tight end thing. It is funky dory here and there. You know, Drew Petzing is an elite high school / college level coach at this point. Like and in the NFL, you have to have decent passing schemes to have success or be considered a top offensive coordinator. Guys that get jobs at the end of seasons. His resume doesn't speak for that, and you can watch the tape and see that he can't have success.
I'm
And
not gonna lie. Even Greg Roman looked like he had some passing game the other day.
and he can do something with tight end, like in the sense of the whatever it needs to be done. So it's like, again, we're talking about and this is one game. And Jake, I saw you mention this, on Twitter, and I was kind of in agreement with you. The offensive line is going to probably work themselves back to normality. I do think that was kind of maybe a one-off type of game. I agree with Johnny Venerable a lot, mentioning like these guys have not really gotten to real physical contact, while the Saints, they got a lot of guys fighting for their job, so they did have to go really hard in training camp, and some of our guys didn't. Jake, obviously the flight stuff, like that does matter as well when it comes to the physicality. So I do think the offensive line will have better days, but you did lose Clayton Adams. He was the run game coordinator. The run game didn't look good in the first game. Like that, so we got some stuff that you're gonna have to look into as time goes on and see can that continue to be good. So I'm definitely interested, but Drew Petzing, I mean, you're not it for me. I can't really do the Drew Petzing thing anymore. I would love to be a supporter continuously, but I don't see enough in terms of how we need to pass the ball as an offense to have success and be a team that can go deep in the playoffs. Like it is, you run to you pass to score, I think, but you run to win games. Like we can run to score a lot, and we try to run to score way too much when we need to pass to score sometimes, and we can run to finish off games as we do with the physicality that we have on this football team. So offensively, though, Kyler, I'm kind of just, it is what it is. I'm not mad at it. You had the runs, like Jake mentioned. It is what it is. You going out there, you still perform. You got us a victory, like I mentioned earlier. I'm not going to complain as a victory as a Cardinals fan. These are rare as they come, so I'm not going to complain how that looked from you. I will ask you, obviously, let's just continue to get that chemistry up. I don't know if he was supposed to run a streak or if he was supposed to run a post, but all I know is if you float it past the right safety, he's a touchdown. If you throw it up, any type of situation like that, he had both of those guys beat. They both weren't running deep, so all you had to do was literally put some air under that, and he could have floated under it. So y'all going to keep learning. I'm accepting it. I'm moving on. We got the dub, but offensively, it's going to be a tough stretch throughout the season as the time goes on. We're going to have good games where we can run the ball, and it's going to be effective with the play action post that. But again, another game you didn't have much running success, and you couldn't pass the ball after that. Another thing, this is probably my last thing I was going to mention. That our new dad might be chopped liver. He makes good plays here and there.
Who?
He makes good plays here and there. Our newly found dad, Michael Wilson. He might not be the goods. He might not be the goods. I think I think he still has success here and there, and he will definitely be able to make plays. He makes very acrobatic catches, so I do not doubt him at all. But there's a lot of instinct and physicality that is not in his game that just is kind of holding him back a little bit. And I think he could be better in the slot. but we have a slot player already in Greg Dortch. So we
Yeah,
got to figure out a lot when it comes to who can be our second playmaker. Because as the stats say, past Marvin, there's no receiver making an impact on the field. So is that Kyler? Is that passing? Is that the receivers? A lot of what we saw last year, where it came down to guys couldn't separate. It's more the same against a DB unit that is okay, not great though, and Kool-Aid, and I don't even know who's the other corner out there. Is it
Alontae
Adebo?
Taylor.
Oh,
No,
Taylor.
Alontae Taylor.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
but I was gonna harp on that too. Um, I know I've seen somebody post the Tyreek Hill joint. I know I've seen people already talk about, man, like hopefully Walter Nolan's good because we passed up on Ibuka.
mhm.
All these guys would be great. I'd love to have Tyreek Hill. If you said we can slap you with the fourth round pick and we get Tyreek Hill, who would not want to have Tyreek Hill? But at the end of the day, man, I'm not confident in Petsing to support two receivers in this offense. Like Trey McBride gets supported because he's a tight end and we run so many we have so many tight ends on the field to begin with and we run so much stuff underneath. But like now you're talking about bringing in or adding somebody to that who, yes, in theory it would be good. In theory it'd be good to have a Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison type deal out there, but like I just don't think that we could support that. Just not with the current structure of the offense with who's calling the shots. And honestly, I feel like from looking at like the stuff that we put on film, who would want to come be a part of that as a
Right.
receiver? Like if you like Tyreek Hill, you're like, yeah, like we want to bring you in or whatever, or whoever sign them. Like who wants to come be a part of that? Because clearly, I mean, Zay Jones, to me, Zay Jones is a good receiver. He's not
Mhm.
otherworldly or anything, but he's a solid receiver. But like, I mean, he's just out here running clear out routes. You know what I'm saying? Like, and another thing too, and I just thought about this. Anytime Zay Jones is on the field and Marvin's not on the field, it is a run play 100% of the time. And I don't know if other defenses know. I think other teams know that because every snap that he took where Marv wasn't on the field was a run play, and I want to say it's been like that since last year. Anytime Marv is not on the field, it's a run play 100% of the time. So
Yep.
I don't know, man. I don't think that this offense could support two elite or good receivers.
Yeah, it's a struggle. I truly think it becomes a point where you're sitting there like, what is this? What are the chances going to be that this guy is removed? During the season. Like I think it'll have to go to shit for him to get removed during the season, or however that looks. But I think if this team is 6-1, whatever the case may be, 4-5, 4-2, whatever it looks like, and they're sitting there and it's like they're winning games by 3 points because the defense is holding the other team to 13, 17, and this offense can barely crack over 20, and they're not making any type of strides when it comes to any type of moving forward. In the words of the coach, if the passing offense goes through 85 and 18, and it does not prove that the passing offense goes through 85 and 18 based off of targets and based off of success, I think a change needs to be made in season. I think a change needs to be made in season, and it has nothing to do with Petsing's ability to draw things up. Like somebody was debating against me, kind of somewhat, and it was like I'm not arguing Petsing's ability to be a play caller in terms of his design, not his designs, but his formations that he uses, and the hits up the four. What am I trying to say? The formations and just the ideas that he brings. But the designs lack that creativity. They just do. You can't have four players running into each other and expect that some success is going to make of that. Like that's not how mesh concepts work. So again, like he just has a lot of work in my opinion. But can we afford a lot of work? That's really what it comes down to. This has to be a make or break year for a lot of people, the coach and the quarterback included, and they cannot be harping by one singular person. So we'll see what makes of this. He'll probably have a good game on Sunday, and then all will be forgiven and for a week, and then we'll come back for another time and figure out another thing to complain about. So moving on, obviously, like I said, week 1 is over with, 1-0. Glad to be 1-0. Moving on to Panthers week. This is a team seems to always beat us for some reason. Last year they beat us with our season on the line in dramatic fashion. That was probably Kyler's worst second half that he's had all season. And the struggle came down to the point where, a couple of mistakes there at the end of the game, defense getting tired, letting Chuba Hubbard run up on them. They lose in overtime 36-30. So this is a chance for revenge. I feel as though a lot of people, I think I said this when it came out, they had like a little training camp video where the guys come out before they get to practice field. And it was like, who's your most anticipated opponent? I feel like a good majority of them said the Panthers. I feel like I don't know why. Maybe it was just because of the season opener, or some guys really do have revenge on their mind. But based on how the Panthers looked, yesterday, and that would be a team I kind of dug into for the rest of the week, kind of seeing what they were bringing up. But based on how they looked yesterday, they were a team that was getting more hype than us, a lot more hype than us, when it came down to what they could bring and what they could be as a team. And they got trounced by a Jags team that was introducing a brand new coach, introducing a lot of brand new players on that football team, and they got absolutely manhandled out there. So going out on the road again for them, they're traveling to Arizona this week. Jake, what are you expecting? For the home opener, you're going to be in the stands for sure.
Hey,
The energy should be rocking, the crowd should be rocking. But again, this is a team that has had our number, and but this is a different year as you mentioned. So kind of how are you feeling going into this week 2 game? Is this a trouncing? Do we get our pummeling this week?
Yeah, I think if this was any team, I mean, given the product, and I kind of looked into the film of that game pretty intensively today. That Panthers team looked like ass, dude. If it was any other team besides the Panthers, I would probably feel 10 out of 10 confidence going into this next week. I still think we win, but dude, the spread is ballooned up to like 6.5. I just feel like I think we're like 1-6 against them in the last 7 or something crazy like that, dude. Like, they just give me the creeps for whatever reason. But that being said, I mean, Bryce Young, 18 of 35, a touchdown, 2 picks, 150 yards. They
a
did not
fumble.
fumble lost. Like, they did not look good. Chuba, 57 yards and 16 carries. Actually, Tet looked fairly good, about 70 yards on 5 catches. But outside of that, dude, like, that team is not very good. The Jags, like, I don't even know much about their pass rush, but like they were getting home, speeding up Bryce Young. If we can do what we did to Rattler, I think Young is gonna be throwing us a couple interceptions. Just given, I mean, dude, Rattler was good. Like, he was getting the ball out quick and like staying composed, but like he was under constant duress, and I don't think Bryce Young is gonna handle it as effectively and efficiently as Spencer did. I think we should put these guys away pretty handedly. Like I said, dude, Vegas has us as 6.5-point favorites, and those guys are rarely too far off. So they had us as 6.5-point favorites against the Saints. We won by 7. So we'll see. But I'm feeling pretty confident, man. Like I said, if it's anyone but the Panthers, given the product they put on the field yesterday, I think we were going to kill them. I still think we beat them. I'm not going to predict a trouncing.
Mm-hmm. Shaw, how you feeling about this matchup going into week 2? Are we 2-0 for the first time again since 2021?
Yeah, for sure. We 2-0. And surprisingly, normally I like kind of get nervous when we play the Panthers. I got a couple friends, they Panthers fans. I respect the hell out of the Panthers. But they're down in the dumps. As fans, they're down in the dumps. Apparently Bryce isn't looking good. I don't know what's up with PFF either, because like I don't know how Bryce had a better game than Kyler, and he threw 2 picks, almost threw a pick six that got called back, or he did throw a pick six that got called back, and fumbled the ball. So I don't know how he and completed 50% of his passes. I don't know how he ranked higher than Kyler, but PFF, y'all gotta work on that. But no, I only thing that scares me against the Panthers, honestly, this week is Drew Petzing. Like, I'm not. We take care of business if we go out there and we basically do what we need to do on offense. Last year we were able to run the ball on them just straight up with James Conner until he got hurt in that game. And this year I just think that, I mean, their weapons are around the same, but like I feel like our secondary is just so much better. I feel like our defense as a whole is just so much better. We got them at home. Home opener, the team clearly the vibe around the team, and not just the players, but the fan base is at a high right now, because I mean, everybody's complaining about everything because everybody has expectations, right? So like I expect us to go in there to win pretty convincingly. Um Trouncing, I mean, I don't know, but like 2 touchdowns,
Mm,
2 scores for sure. Um
mhm,
yeah, man, I don't know. Bryce didn't look good at all. And I don't think he's gonna look too much better against us with how our DBs are playing. I mean, Tet is their best receiver, and I think Will matches up pretty well against him. I think hell, I think anybody matches up pretty well against him.
mhm.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity to kind of really plant your flag against again a team, in my opinion, that was getting way more hype than the Cardinals for this in their off season, in terms of what they could be as a team. And going out there and kind of getting dumped on by the Jags is not a positive look. And, them in Miami kind of had the most disappointing losses, you probably say, of the year, or at least so far in week one. So, I'm predicting kind of the same. They should win the game. I could agree 1,000%. The only people that could hold them back are Drew Petzing, and if this run defense if Chuba Hubbard has some type of game or whatever the case may be, or Bryce Young feels a little bit more comfortable in the next week. But again, if Sweat and Browning are the players that I just saw from yesterday, if they have the same type of game, then they'll speed them up. They'll speed him up, and again, this team will definitely have its chance to actually get a pick this time, actually get their hands on the ball. So it'll definitely be a good game. I can't wait to see this defense play. I think the defense is kind of where I like to see it, and if this defense can play in that same physicality and same like schematic wise, that makes it for an entertaining watch. And if this offense has any type of success, then it's for surely a good game. So I'm definitely predicting a win, making us 2-0. And 2-0 will be huge going into that weekend, and obviously you have the 49ers the week after, who huge massive news coming out today with them possibly missing George Kittle for multiple weeks. Brock Purdy has I believe 2 different injuries. So sorry, I don't know how that quite happened. He has 2 different injuries, and I believe obviously all their other injuries they're dealing with. I believe Juwan Jennings is also dealing with something. So, and McCaffrey, he had a calf flare up, I believe, throughout the entirety of last week. But he played, had a decent game, and somehow they won, which is a miracle in the ocean. But yeah, it's looking good, obviously, for week 3 as well, but can't look too far ahead. Obviously, you want to lock in on the Panthers
One and
week
zero
2.
is the mindset, man. One and
1-0
zero.
mindset, as the team mentions, 1-0 mindset every week, and it'll be good to know. So, you boys got anything else before we head out for this episode?
Nah, just 1-0, man. That's
I
that's
love it.
LSU's thing this year. So hey, we're gonna keep it rocking with the Cardinals.
LSU is what, 2-0 now?
Yeah, we're 2-0. Uh-huh. Yeah,
2-0.
but we play Florida next week, so it's gonna be a big game.
Oh no, 3-0. There you go, 1-0 every week. After what I saw from them. So, all right,
Yeah.
that's a bet. Well, we will catch y'all on next week's episode. Hopefully, after a dub, recapping the Panthers week and heading into the San Francisco 49ers week. We'll see
All right.
y'all next week on the episode.
Catch
Hey,
y'all later.
real
Oh
quick,
yeah.
what do you guys got for predictions in this one?
Oh, score prediction. I
Score
mean,
prediction. Give it to me. 27-13 this one.
33-13.
Wow.
Mm.
I'm gonna say it's
Yeah.
crazy, bro. This might be the first time in the pod's history. I'm gonna say 27-17.
Okay.
You still
Yeah.
everybody's covering. Everybody's feeling good. Everybody's making money, and we're getting it up. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely get down
Love
with
it.
that. All
All
right,
right,
boys. I will catch you guys next week on the next one.
sounds
All right.
good.
Okay. All right. Bye.